Okay, welcome to the Revere Veterans Corner. Today we have a special guest. He's a veteran of the community. He's from the city of Revere. His name is Stephen Fielding, and welcome, Steve. Thank you for coming, and thank you for taking the time off.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it very much.
Right, Steve, I understand, besides being a veteran of the community, you also managed our Mayor Rizzo's website. And would you expand on that for us, please?
Well, one of the things that I do in the community is volunteer at different events and try to help out different folks. And for the past a little over 2.5 years, I've managed www.danrizzo.org. And basically what I do is I act as a liaison between the website company that actually does the technical aspects of the website and help write the content. You've seen me at many events taking photos for the different events that the mayor has, and also for the city. And one of the things that I did recently was took pictures at Revere Shines. So I was there riding with the mayor and taking pictures of all the folks in front of the American Legion and, you know, enjoying everybody's company and making sure that everybody got in a picture.
That was great. And also, I want to thank you personally, because when I go up to the mayor's function, you're always helping me collect money for the troops to send packages overseas for Christmas.
Well, there really is nothing more dear to my heart than to help raise money for veterans. I really appreciate being an American. I realize how much effort and how much agony and how much pride families have who have soldiers overseas all around the world. I mean, it truly is a sacrifice, not only for the soldier, but for the family as well.
I believe you have relatives that were in the military. Could you let us know about them?
Sure. My dad was in the Korean conflict. He actually was stationed at Fort Sill in Lawton, Oklahoma. The day after he married my mom, they had to head down to Oklahoma, and within several weeks, he was shipped to Busan, South Korea. Little did he know that I was on the way. So,
where were you coming from?
7 months later, I arrived,
Okay.
but he did not see me until I was about 7 months old. So communications was a little bit different then. He was also stationed in Seoul as well.
Was he?
Yes, yes.
Right. We still have problems with Korea even today.
We do, and hopefully they won't escalate to the point where
I know.
You know, we have another conflict.
Right. By the way, I got to tell you, since you mentioned about your dad being in the Korean War, a couple of weeks ago, we had the honor of going down to Washington to visit the Korean Memorial, ironically. And I believe you would also have seen the memorial?
I have.
So why don't you tell us about it? Better you than me.
Okay. One of the jobs that I had in my career, that I've had in my career, is as a trade show manager, as part of a communications director position. I traveled extensively in the U.S., and I always try to see a little bit of what is out there in the United States. And I was in Washington for several weeks, and it was an early January morning, about 5:30 in the morning. I just couldn't sleep, and I had never seen the Korean War Veterans Memorial, and I went down to see it. And it was an amazing experience, very, very profound and very touching experience, because the snow was coming from the sky, and as you know, there are 19 soldiers in full combat gear.
I didn't count that, but I saw the soldiers there.
And they're all in a triangular formation,
Right,
heading towards the 38th parallel, which, as you know, is the divide between North Korea and South Korea.
Right.
And the interesting thing is there is a wall, what they call the wall triangle, triangle, I believe. So when the statues reflect on that wall, you actually see double. You see 38 full combat geared American soldiers heading towards the parallel. And it was just priceless to see. And it was very dramatic, and it made an impact on me. That's for sure.
It made an impact on me too, because when I was standing in the corner looking where the triangle branches out, you almost feel like you're in there with them.
You do, and I read about the statues. They were made of stainless steel.
Right.
So they're a soft gray, but I think what touched me most was their eyes. If you were at the bottom base of the triangle and they're coming at you, you actually see the eyes of each soldier, and you can see their expressions, and it really touches your heart.
Because it touches mine too.
Yeah, you can feel the sacrifices they made.
Yep, that was great. Now I'm going to ask you, you talked about a little about your father, a little about the Korean statue. How about talking a little about yourself, how you grew up in the city and how you went to school and how you got into what you're doing?
Well, I was born and raised in Winthrop, although my maternal grandmother was from Revere, and when my mother was born, she lived in Revere for the first 16 years of her life, and then she moved to Winthrop and obviously, met my dad. I've lived in Revere for 36 years. I moved here when I married my wife Elaine, and we settled in Revere.
Any children?
We have 2 children. We have a son who's a pediatric neuropsychologist.
His name?
His name is Ryan, and he works at MGH.
Wow.
And his specialty is child psychology, obviously, and he's married and has 1 son. My daughter Stephanie is a transfer academic counselor and an adjunct professor at Mount Wachusett Community College, and she's due to be married in this July.
Wow,
So.
you don't look that old to have kids, but good for you. So what else do you do? Now, I noticed down here you have something written about the Salesian boys and girls.
Yeah, my position right now is as Director of Development and Communications at the Salesian Boys and Girls Club of East Boston. Ironically, I went to Dom Savio High School, which has just recently, the building I went to school in has been sold, but the club is located in the former gymnasium of that particular school. And the Salesian Boys and Girls Club runs an after-school program all year from September to June for $20 per child for the year.
And what did
And
they
it's
do
a
there?
full service program, and in the summer we run a 9-week summer day camp for children for $100 a week, and it runs from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. And it's a wonderful facility. It's the only dedicated youth services organization in Revere, in East Boston. But we service kids from East Boston, Revere, and Winthrop.
Right, and if a child wants to contact to get in there, how would he do that, Steve?
You could go on the website, www.salesianclub.com. SALESIAN.
Right, and is there any phone number they can call to?
They could call 617
Right,
569 6626.
repeat that number so make sure everyone hears it.
617 569 6626.
Very good, thank you, Steve. Let's see, you're married, you've been involved. Oh, also I see right here with St. Mary's baseball and softball teams.
Well, I'm very active at St. Mary's. I have been for almost 40 years actually. And obviously when your kids are young, you get involved in a lot of activities that you normally would probably not get involved in. And I was a baseball and/or softball assistant coach or coach for about 12 years while my kids were growing up, and it was a lot of fun.
Did you play baseball as a kid?
I did.
What position?
I played shortstop.
I played third base.
Yeah. And I wasn't a very good hitter, but I could steal a lot of bases.
Oh, I still got a perfect batting average. My batting average was 0-0-0 when it started, and I finished with 0-0-0.
But, I've been an active member of St. Mary's Parish for a long time. A lot of people in the audience may recognize me.
Oh, I'm sure they will.
And I think that it's been a very great experience there. And it's interesting you bring this up because, as you know, the city has required a grant, and what will happen is that land behind St. Mary's, where there are 2 baseball fields, will become part of the city's property, and they're going to rebuild those fields and add another one. So it'll be very interesting.
I'd like to ask you an off-the-record question. I don't know, because none of this has been rehearsed, by the way. I want the people to know that. So
we're ad-libbing here.
Yeah, okay, we are ad-libbing here. But anyway, how do you feel about the casino coming in? And I want your honest opinion. Let me give you my opinion. I'm for it, so we can start off with that.
I am for it. I think that it's a good thing. I am a type of person who believes that every individual takes responsibility for their own actions. I think you have to have self-control, and you have to understand what your limitations are. And as a result, I think that you can manage your own money, you can manage your own leisure activities. A lot of people like to gamble. And I think that what it will also do is create a lot of jobs, help the economy. It'll certainly help Revere.
Definitely.
Not only from a tax base perspective, but from a development perspective. And in light of what is happening with the Economic Summit and the attraction of Revere to new businesses, this will only add to that. I also think that, we know what is going to go there if we vote for the casino. I am pro-casino. But if it isn't voted in, you don't know what will be put on that property. You know, it may not be to your liking.
That's true too, but I got to say one thing. I had the honor of attending a couple of breakfasts by the Suffolk Downs, not casino yet, but Suffolk Downs Chief Executive Officer, Chip Tuttle.
Yes.
We had a veterans breakfast over at the Beachmont VFW. We also had a nice luncheon just a couple of days ago over at the Suffolk Downs. When I spoke to Mr. Tuttle, his main function was to hire veterans. He said that would create 4,000 jobs in the city.
Right.
And it would, and preference would be given to veterans. So any veteran who's out there, who's out of the service and looking for a job, turn into Suffolk Downs and fill out an application. And if we do get to the casino, I'm almost positive you will get a job there too.
Well, you know, it's funny. Suffolk Downs is hosting an event that the Salesian Boys and Girls Club is running on June 20th for business leaders, family, and friends of the club. And Suffolk Downs provides a beautiful buffet in the facility, the topsider room, for our fundraiser, which is the largest of the year. And Chip Tuttle is part of that, as well as Mr. Fields. And it's a wonderful opportunity for people in Revere to come and see and hear about what the club is doing. We have a full breakfast buffet. We give out 3 awards.
Wow.
We have a number of auction items that former President Travellini donates. And we also have a number of raffles that we will have at different tables, including many Bruins tickets for next year, Celtics tickets, and Red Sox tickets.
Is that only for the people from the Salesian Club?
No, it's for all residents.
Okay, and when you say, does that mean like the residents that come up, do they have to pay for the ticket?
Yeah, because it is a fundraiser. It is the largest fundraiser.
How much would the tickets be?
It would be $25 for an individual.
Right.
And you could purchase a table for $250, which is 10 people per
right.
table. Or you can just contribute if you'd like. If anybody wants to contribute,
Please
they
tell
can
them.
contact me through email at sfielding@salesianclub.com. They can go on the site, www.salesianclub.com, or they can call me directly, 617-567-0863.
I got to tell you, if it wasn't for Suffolk Downs, I starved to death.
Yeah,
That's good because let me tell you, when they have a function there, it's like the president eating there. Really, I mean, the food is delicious, the service is delicious, the people are nice.
They are.
And it's just plain wonderful.
Well, this is nice because this is the 5th year in a row that Suffolk Downs has hosted this event for us and been our major sponsor. They did this prior to any casino vote coming up, so they didn't just jump on the bandwagon.
No.
They've been with us all along.
Right. Also, I would like to ask you, someone else told me to ask you this. It says here you are in expertise communications, brand marketing, public relations, event management, direct mail, fundraising development. Mamma mia. Can you explain that?
Well, over the last 35 years, I've worked in 3 different arenas. The corporate sector, I've worked for direct marketing agencies, and I've worked for nonprofits. And basically what you said were the 3 areas that I have accumulated expertise in: communications, brand marketing, event management, trade show management, direct mail marketing, and fundraising development in the nonprofit sector.
Right. Now, I'd like to change the subject again, if I may, Steve. I spent some time as a veteran in Germany when I was a young man. You were also in Germany. Can you give me since you and I didn't discuss this before the show.
No, we haven't.
But we are going to discuss it now. Tell me where you were there.
Okay, I worked for a large travel company at one point as a direct marketing manager.
Right.
And one of the things that this travel company did was provide trips for potential employees, and potential clients, and allowed employees to go on the trip.
With them?
Yes, and I was one of those employees that went on a riverboat cruise.
The Rhine River?
I did. We started in Amsterdam, in Holland,
Right.
and we went right up the Rhine River to the Moselle River.
Right.
We stopped along many different cities and towns, such as Rudesheim, Passau, Koblenz, Dusseldorf.
I know.
mean, there's just a
Dusseldorf,
number.
Koblenz, and Passau, I
Right.
know very well.
Right, and we went and traveled for 14 days all the way to Frankfurt, and we stopped at, like I said, 14 cities and towns along the way. So it was very enlightening, and it was a great learning experience. Once we got to Frankfurt,
Now we're talking about Frankfurt am Rhein because there's two Frankfurts in Germany.
Right.
So you're talking about the one that's on the Rhine River.
I am.
Okay.
I am. We pulled right up there on a riverboat cruise, and it's a great experience. A riverboat cruise, it only holds 200 people, including
I used to do that almost every other
Yeah.
Sunday.
Beautiful experience.
Yep.
And interesting enough, when we got to Frankfurt, we actually spent a day in Heidelberg,
Yep.
and that's the oldest university in the world.
Right.
And it's a college town in Germany, but it almost looks like Quebec. If you've ever been to Quebec, the old town of Quebec,
Right.
it kind of looks like that. It's very quaint, very European. And of course it is in Germany, and it was a great experience to see that.
It's funny you mentioned Heidelberg. There used to be a gentleman that lived at the Jack Slatter House. I don't know his first name. His last name was Malta, M-A-L-T-A. And he was the one that put the hangman's noose when they had the trial of the Nazis in Heidelberg, when they were convicted. He was the one that tied the noose around their little neck and when they sprung the trap. And that was his job. And he was right here from Revere, but no one ever knew about him.
I think that what impressed me most is everything in this country is new. It's a little over 200 years old.
Right.
And one of the things that impressed me most was we went to Cologne, and we visited the Cathedral of Cologne.
Beautiful. That
Right.
wasn't hit, you know.
It was never hit during the war.
Well, right.
And the most interesting part of that is that was built over a period of 600 years.
Wow. I didn't
Now,
know
our
that.
country is only a little over 250, okay?
Right.
So there's different architectural styles within the cathedral and on the exterior of the cathedral as well. And it is very impressive to see.
That's good. What other cities did you visit while you were there? I'm just curious because it brings back memories to me.
I think my favorite city was Rudesheim. It's a small,
wasn't
quaint
there.
town, and it's a vineyard. It's a vineyard haven, really. They grow a lot of specialty wines, and they specialize in, obviously, German food. But it's a very small, it's a village. And one of the nice things that they have there is a ski lift. And what you can do is you can go on the ski lift and go over all the vineyards that surround Rudesheim and all the other towns that surround it. Interesting enough, and you've been there, when you're traveling along on a riverboat cruise, you look up and there's nothing but mountains. They feel
Right.
like they're closing in on you because they're so steep and they're so gray, and it gives you this eerie feeling. And the interesting thing is, along the way you see all kinds of little towns, and they're all the same in a sense because you see a church and a steeple, you see farm country, and along the river there's railroads, because railroads, as you know, in Europe are still very, very popular
Right.
and a very major means of transportation. And you see these long trains, and they're cutting through the mountains, and they're cutting through the rock. Very, very beautiful. Very beautiful.
When I used to go, especially during Munich, when I was stationed there, they had the Munich Oktoberfest. And you go down to Bavaria, München, or Munich, and they have these big beer, they call them Flasche, the glass, big glass of beer. And they would be eating the bratwurst and sauerkraut and whatever they had, slugs on it, with everything on there, you know. And it was good. Now, people may not realize that, but the Rhine, I believe, splits Germany on one side and France on the other
You're
side.
absolutely right. In fact, it's interesting, Koblenz, we talked about Koblenz.
Right.
If I remember right, and it's been like almost, it's been about 15 years since I've been there, where the Rhine meets the Moselle River,
Right.
that is where Koblenz is. And currently, right now, there's major flooding.
Oh, yes, they showed that on
Germany.
TV.
In one of the towns that I visited in Passau,
Yep.
there's got over 7 feet of water. You can't even see the village or anything. It's
Right, they
just-
said another country, Prague, Czechoslovakia, is getting flooded.
Right, right.
Germany, the towns that you mentioned, flooded. Also, in England, too.
Yes.
Get-
When I was at Koblenz, there's a huge fort that looks like the fort that was used in the movie The Guns of Navarone. I don't know if that's a long time ago, that movie, but it's a big stone circular fort that was originally built by Napoleon. That's how far back it goes. To get across the river, to find your way up to that fort, you have to go on a small, almost like a tugboat. And the river is always, because it crisscrosses, it's very, very rough. It can take up to an hour to go across the river. And it's no It's no wider than the Mystic River Bridge. I mean, the Mystic River in Boston, separating Boston and Cambridge. But it's very impressive to get across there. And to go up to that mountaintop, we actually had to take a ski lift that was built in the 1930s. And it was a wooden ski lift, okay? And it didn't have, you know, the crossbar to buckle you in.
Right.
It just had like a little gate.
Yeah, we had the one, the gate I locked you in.
That
But they
locked you
on
in.
the side.
But it was kind of scary because it was very steep going up that mountain.
By the way, when you were in Germany, did you ever have a chance to visit Berchtesgaden?
I did not. No, I did not.
Down around outside of Munich, no?
No, I had not.
You would have loved it going up there. You get up on that hill up there, and you look down and you can see Austria, the mountains, everything is beautiful.
But why don't I tell you about what the club does to sponsor veterans?
Go right
I'll
ahead.
just segue right into that.
That's what we want.
Last year, Army Specialist Jonathan Esposito, who's since been discharged, completed his second tour in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Wow.
Okay, and while he was there, the Salesian Boys and Girls Club packaged over 20 mail packages to send to his regiment. You know, toiletries, reading materials, soaps, books, whatever, you know, the troops need. And you're certainly an expert on that.
I got to tell you a story when you get done.
Okay, so we sent that to his regiment, and then he was discharged. Ironically, his wife was also a soldier, and she was discharged at the same time. So here you have a family with two, husband and wife who had recently been married, were sent to those two those two countries, and served not together, but at the same time, and were discharged at the same time, thankfully alive and in good health. So Jonathan was very appreciative of receiving those packages for the troops. And what he did was he actually brought a flag from Afghanistan to the club, okay, so that we could fly it on our flagpole. That flag was actually flown over Ghazni, which is in, it's a base in Afghanistan. And that actual flag that we have flies over the club right now. You know, so unfortunately what we run into right now is we have a flagpole that's very old, and we need somebody to help us fix the pulleys. The pulleys are all rusted and they need replacement. You know, we're very financially challenged at the Salesian Boys and Girls Club, relying on donations,
Right.
both individual and corporate, and a few fundraisers like the breakfast that I mentioned and the spaghetti supper that we have in November. So if anybody is in the audience that can help us fix that flagpole or knows an expert in how to fix that, the pulleys for the flagpole, so that flag can stay up there. You know, that has a lot of meaning to not only the kids, but to the people in East Boston.
I'd like to say something to you about the packages.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks ago, I had an Afghanistan veteran up here, Stephen Leon from Revere. I happened to mention that Operation Troop Support, which you, by the way, participate in when I come down to collect. We collect the money and we send packages out. I happened to mention to him that I'm from the Revere Senior Center, and the Revere Senior Center got together to help us wrap loads of packages. And he turns around right here and says, you know, I got packages from the Revere Senior Center. I says, you did? I says, why don't you come down and thank the people? And he did. He came down to our senior center. He spent a couple of hours there, and he went around and he thanked each one individual. And what he said was those were the things that made the troops out there the happiest. Right. And the one that does a lot of work on that at our senior center, I'm sure you know her, is Miss Lois Diamond. She's a
wonderful person.
Yep, activities. She does a lot for the veterans and for the community. So she does both things. Now, Steve, we got a few minutes to wrap up. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to wrap it up. Okay. Then I'm going to say it. So I want to give you all, the rest of the time.
Well, I just want to let it be known, and it's just a personal thing for me, is that there are two groups of people that I cherish in my heart that I feel are our most trusted citizens, our most treasured citizens. One is seniors, and the other are our veterans. Seniors because people who are older, people who have great, learning experiences through a lifetime, are the ones that made this country what it is today. I really believe that.
People like you too, people of the community, not only veterans, everybody.
Well, it's because my generation learned from the previous one. That's the way I feel. So I really believe that the senior population are the greatest generation. I really do. And without them, this country would not be what it is today. And we need to appreciate seniors more. And we need to make sure that we take care of our seniors. And it's ironic that you say that the seniors are the ones that, you know, support Operation Troop Support, right?
Well,
I mean, for the most part.
well, for the most part.
And yet they're the people that lived through the wars that we, you know, that are the veterans, you know, they really are. And
Okay, Stevie, I got to say
I
one
know.
thing. First of all, I want to thank you for coming up here.
thank you.
May
Appreciate
God
it.
bless you.
Thank you
May
very
God
much.
bless you. And by the way, may God bless our troops. May God bless the people of Revere, and especially may God bless the United States of America. And thank you out there for listening. And veterans, like Steve said, if you're looking for a job, contact Suffolk Downs and put your application in, because someday we are going to get the casino and you will be the first to be hired. Thank you.